Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inshallah, if I get the confirmation, we can start. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-ali al-azim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina wa nabiyyina Abil Qasim al-Mustafa Muhammad wa ala alihi tayyibin at-tahirin la siyama baqiyatillah fil ardi. We are reflecting on the last munajat of the whispered prayers of Imam Zain al-Abidin, which is munajat al-Zahidin, of the abstainers and those who try to be detached from attraction of the worldly pleasures. We reach this point, وَسَلِّمْنَا مِنْهَا بِتَوْفِيقِكَ وَعِصْمَتِكَ. Up to here we discuss, alhamdulillah. And now, وَانْزَعْ عَنَّا جَلَابِيبَ مُخَالَفَتِكَ. After requesting to be kept safe from the dunya, which is the materialistic attraction of the temporary life, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove, to strip from us the robes of opposing Him. Jalabib is the plural for jilbab. Sorry, I have to check my power. I'm very sorry, the power was not connected. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove, to strip from us this jalabib, which is plural for jilbab, the dress which is normally the loose dress that we put on top is called jilbab. It is used also for ladies. And in the verse, one of the verses which is about hijab, we have yudnina alayhinna min jalabibihinna. Using hijab was not introduced by Islam. It was already there, and it is something natural. But Islam made some regulations for hijab. One of them is yudnina alayhinna min jalabibihinna. Sometimes they had a kind of hijab, a kind of top cover, but it was too loose, and part of their body, like their neck, was seen. So Allah said that they should keep it close to their body, to cover their body. So this is the meaning of jilbab, and the plural is jalabib. So here we have a metaphorical expression. Disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a kind of dress. As we have in the Quran that taqwa is also dress. Libasul taqwa, dhalika khayr. So sometimes you are putting on yourself the dress of taqwa, which keeps you very nice and tidy and attractive and protects you. Because when libasul taqwa is on you, enemies don't come to you. Enemies of Allah don't come to libasul taqwa. Like for example, if someone has on himself the uniform of a policeman, the thieves won't go to him. Or if someone has the uniform or the dress of ulama, then bad people don't go to them to ask them to join us. So sometimes this is a sign of having a special way of life which automatically pushes away the bad people. But on the other hand, sometimes there is, instead of libasul taqwa, jilbabul mukhalafa, the dress of disobedience, the dress of sin. If they see that you have such a dress on, then they all come to you. And all bad people come to you. And good people keep away from you. So this would increase the problem. So we say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please take away from us these dresses and robes of sinfulness or opposing you. It's a very beautiful expression. وَتَوَلَّ أُمُورَنَا بِحُسْنِ كِفَايَتِكَ. Please, you take over our affairs. You be in charge of our affairs through your good sufficiency, your good management. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so kind and so helpful that He has an offer for all of us. He says, if you like, I can accept to be in charge of your affairs. I can be your wali. Allahu waliyul ladina amanu. Although Allah is wali for every creature, every human being, but that is a generative, takwini one. So it means that by creation, He is our guardian. We are all under His control. But there is a second sense of walaya, and that is Allah actually being your guardian and helping you in your affairs, or putting you in the right direction. This happens only to the people that they ask Allah for that. Therefore, in some verses of the Quran, you find that Allah is wali for everyone. In some verses of the Quran, you find that Allah is wali for mu'mineen, and those who are against the truth, their wali is not Allah, their wali is Taghut, because they listen to Taghut. They ask Taghut to guide them. Those whose wali is Allah, then on the day of judgment also they have Allah as their support. Those whose wali is Taghut, on the day of judgment they have no one to look after them, because Taghut cannot do anything for them. And this is why in the Quran said, أَنَّ الْكَافِرِينَ لَا مَوْلَى لَهُمْ. They don't have mawla, they don't have master. On the day of judgment, no one is there to help them. So if you like, in the paper about walaya, I have brought these three types of verses of the Quran about walaya. In any case, Allah is so kind and so merciful, so helpful, that He says, I am your master, I am your Lord, I am your creator. Okay. But on top of that, if you want me to take over running and managing your life, that's to you. I am ready to do that for you. You know how difficult it is in dunya to find someone who does everything for us, even sometimes for temporary time. It's very difficult. For example, you have to travel to find someone to look after your shop, you look after your house, look after your family. Is not easy. Someone who is capable, someone who is trustworthy, and at the same time has enough time and loves you and is ready to take all the responsibility. It's very difficult to find. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I can take over all affairs of your life. Not in the sense that you retire and you do nothing, but in the sense that you work under my guidance, my leadership. If you accept to submit your affairs to Allah, أُفَضَّضُ أَمْرِي إِلَى اللَّهِ, I submit my affairs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take over and will guide us, and then you would see how things go very smoothly and nicely for you, and how you would have best results. وَتَوَلَّ أُمُورَنَا, please, you become guardian, you become in charge, you attend to our affairs through your good kifaya, sufficiency, because Allah is kafi, Allah is sufficient, Allah is adequate. In my recent trip to Toronto, we had a discussion with some brothers, and one question which came up was how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is involved in our life. Is it left to us? Is it left to Allah or else? And I explained the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala functions, and I said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the agent, the doer, the fa'il, as we say, fa'il, the agent for everything that happens in this world. But this doesn't mean that we have no role. There's a hierarchy. At the same time that He is in charge, but He has decided also us to be in charge of certain affairs. And of course, when it comes to our voluntary actions, He has decided us to be in charge with freedom. He has given us the understanding to discern between right and wrong, but He says, you decide what to do, and you have to do it in a responsible way, of course. But in addition to that, which is general for everyone, I said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has more obvious role in lives of some people. For some people, not only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is their creator and He is above everything and everything comes under His provision. For some people it's much more, because they have made a deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they listen to Allah and they ask Allah to be in charge. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes into every area of their lives, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps them in a very specific way. Everything in their life would be given a flavor by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is very important. Allah is there and so kind that He has this offer for us, and we should be very I don't want to use impolite words, but I can say stupid. I'm sorry. We should be very stupid to not accept this offer and think that we can do everything, na'udhu billah, better than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here we say, please, you take over and you be in charge of our affairs. وأوفر مزيدنا من سعة رحمتك. Please grow, please amplify our increase from the boundless plenty of your rahmah, your mercy. Allah has inclusive, all-embracing rahmah. So His rahmah, His mercy is wasa'at, as we have in the Quran, wasa'at rahmati kull shay. Or as the angels say to Allah, Rabbana wasi'ta kull shay'in rahmatan wa ilma. His knowledge, His rahmah have embraced everything. So now we ask Allah, please give us more from this inclusive, all-embracing rahmah that you have. Of course, everyone has already got something, because without having some rahmah of Allah, some portion of mercy of Allah, we could not have come to existence, and we could not have continued to exist. So we have already some rahmah, but we want more. We want mazid. We want to have plenty of Allah. We want to have His rahmah in abundance. So please amplify our increase from the boundless plenty of your mercy. وَأَجْمِلْ صَلَاتِنَا مِنْ فَيْضِ مَوَاهِبِكَ. Salat is written like salat, but it is not salat, it is salat, which is the plural form for salah. Salah means gift, and salat means gifts. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us everything as gift. Do you know why? Because whatever He gives us is not because He owes, He's in debt to us. No, it's a gift. He gives me my life. Is it something that He is giving to me as a price for something that I have given to Him, as an exchange, as a return? No, this is gift. Gift of life, gift of intelligence, gift of health, gift of having good parents, gift of having iman, gift of having friends, family, community, children. There are so many gifts. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us these salat, these gifts. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please give us very beautiful of these gifts. وَأَجْمِلْ صَلَاتِنَا. Please make the way you give us these gifts a very special way, very beautiful. Means give us a lot. Give us so much that no need would remain. You know, sometimes a person gives a gift to you, but with bad akhlaq. You wish you would not have taken this from him. Or gives you a gift, but that gift is not useful. Gives you something that you already have several or plenty of them at home. For example, gives you, say, a pen, but you have yourself many. But sometimes he gives you a pen right at the time that you don't have any pen. This is different. You know, this is very beautiful. This is jamil. Jamil means beautiful. Or, for example, he gives you something that would remain for you. You always use it. So there are different types of gifts. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the gifts that He gives us beautiful, very nice. And where do these gifts come from? What is the source? What is the treasure from which these gifts come? Min fayd mawahibik, from the overflow of your grants. Fayd is a very beautiful word in Arabic. When you have a fountain or a pool and water is too much, is overflowing, this is called fayd and fayaban. So Allah has so much that this is overflowing. Sometimes people ask why Allah has created us. There are different explanations and answers. One is this, that Allah's rahmah is overflowing. His faith cannot be stopped. Someone like Allah, with all the perfection that it has and all the power that it has and all the love and mercy that he has, he should create. If he doesn't create, we have to question. If you are a teacher, you have knowledge, you have skills, and you love to teach and educate people, then if you ask someone why you are teaching, this is not a good question. If this person has knowledge and skills and loves to teach, then you ask him why you teach. It's very natural. Yes, if he has the knowledge, has the skills, has love to teach, but he doesn't teach, then here we have to ask why you are not teaching. This is surprising, but if he teaches, it's very natural. So Allah has so much and also loves to give so much that it's naturally coming in a very increasing and also unlimited way. It's very beautiful. It's not limited, and also it seems that his rahmah is increasing, because the more he gives, the more we can receive. It's very beautiful. Like, for example, if you have a very knowledgeable teacher, the more you learn from him, the more you can learn. The greater levels of knowledge will be available for you. And this is why we say in dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya man la taziduhu kathratul ata illa judan wa karama. O the one that giving in abundance would not increase him except his generosity. It's not that Allah is going to become poor. No, the more he gives, the more generous he becomes. Because our capacity would be increased. The only limitation comes from our capacity. We have limited capacity. So, this faith, this overflow of Allah's grants and gifts is the source, is the treasure, and we want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us very special, beautiful, nice gifts from this treasure. وَأَغْرِسْ فِي أَفْئِدَتِنَا أَشْجَارَ مَحَبَّتِكَ. O Allah, please plant in our hearts the trees of your love. This is again very beautiful. Sometimes you have a guest to decorate your house, you buy some flowers from outside. Okay, that makes the house beautiful, but that is temporary. Sometimes when some VIP people visit a place, they temporarily even bring trees. They bring trees from outside and they put the trees, and of course those trees may not remain, but they just want to please that visitor. For example, the king is going to open a university or an institute in desert, to say that we have very good for example greenery. They bring sometimes flowers, trees, grass, everything from outside, so it can remain for a few days or few hours. But sometimes tree is planted, it has its roots, and it has come from the same land. The roots have penetrated into the soil, and this has become very strong. as we say in the Quran about shajariyya tayyibah, about the good tree, the pleasant tree. ضرب الله مثلا كلمة طيبة كشجرة طيبة أصلها ثابت وفرعها في السماء. The roots are very solid. They are very strong and firm because they have gone into the soil and become part of the soil, very connected. You cannot easily uproot them, but the branches and the leaves are in the sky. Every season it gives its fruits. تؤتي أكلها كل حين بإذن ربها. So we don't want to have love for Allah as a flower which is brought from outside or a tree which is brought from outside. Okay, at that time it's good, but then it will dry out. I want to have love for Allah in my heart as a tree that has grown inside my heart. It's not brought from outside. It's not borrowed. It's coming from here. It has established itself. أصلها ثابت وفرعها في السماء. This is the request. Please plant in our hearts the trees of your love. وأتمم لنا أنوار معرفتك. Please complete for us the lights of your knowledge. We have, alhamdulillah, some knowledge, and this knowledge has light, but we want more. A mu'min would not be satisfied, would not be content with the light that he or she has. He wants more. Even on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the mu'mineen would say to Allah, رَبَّنَا أَتْمِمْ لَنَا نُورَنَا وَاغْفِرْ لَنَا. Please complete our light and forgive us. Yes, when it comes to material life, we should be content. We should be qani'. We should be pleased with what we have. We can improve, but we should not be greedy. But when it comes to spirituality, to iman, to light, we should be wishing and willing and eager to have more. So please complete for us the lights of your knowledge. Your knowledge means knowledge of you, means our knowledge about you. In Arabic, sometimes when I want to say, for example, knowledge of an object, I say that object's knowledge means knowledge about it. وَأَذِقْنَا حَلَاوَةَ عَفِّكَ. Please, let us taste the sweetness of your pardon. When Allah forgives, when Allah pardons, not only He's forgiving in the sense that He's not going to punish us for that, but also it means that Allah helping us to recover from the terrible situation that we had when we committed that sin. So for example, if I have eaten a poisonous food and I'm poisoned, so to receive health, to be cured, means that I am recovering from that illness. Means that the poison should go away from my body. It doesn't just mean that the doctor would say, okay, I'm not going to blame you because you drank that poisonous thing, and although you knew that it's poisonous, but I don't blame you now because you have yourself become very sorry. You are regretful, so I'm not going to blame you. No, no, this is more than that. When Allah is not going to blame us or punish us, He does something more. He tries to recover. He tries to restore the damage that we have caused to ourselves. And therefore, you would have then a very beautiful experience. If someone's sins are forgiven, he feels very light. He feels that he has been freed from thousands of kilograms of chains. He has been washed from darkness. He has a new experience. He feels that he's like a newborn baby. He just wants to cry as a newborn baby out of joy. So, this taste of forgiveness is very beautiful. And may Allah inshallah enable us to taste that and then not to commit sins anymore. Give us to taste. Please let us taste the sweetness of your pardon. وَلَذَّةَ مَغْفِرَتِكَ, and the pleasure of your forgiveness, the same thing. وَأَقْرِرْ أَعْيُنَنَا يَوْمَ لِقَائِكَ بِرُؤْيَتِكَ. Please gladden our eyes on the day of meeting you with the vision of you. Everyone is going to meet Allah. Ya ayyuhan nas, Ya ayyuhal insan, innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadhan famulaqi. Oh man, oh human beings, you are all struggling and you will finally meet your Lord. Mulaqi. Mulaqi comes from liqa. You are all going to meet Allah. But is this going to be a very happy and joyful and enjoyable experience for everyone? No. When we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the two happens. Sometimes we are very happy. Our face is very enlightened, illuminating, open, looking at Allah. وجوه يومئذ ناظرة إلى ربها ناظرة ووجوه يومئذ مسفرة ضاحكة مستبشرة. But on the other hand, there are people that who are presented before God, but they don't dare looking at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their face is covered with dust. وجوه يومئذ عليها غبرة ترهقها قترة. So people have different experiences. Of course, when we say looking at Allah, as we have said many times, it doesn't mean looking by the physical eyes. When Quran says إِلَى رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٌ, they look at the Lord, it doesn't mean with the physical eyes. It is with the eyes of the heart. So, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please make our eyes very happy, very satisfied by being able to look at you on the day of liqa, on the day of resurrection. This is the best encounter that you can have. This is the closest relation that you can have. This liqa, that we are so close to Allah that we can feel His presence. Because Allah is always close to us, but sometimes we don't feel that closeness. On the day of judgment, we feel that closeness. We feel that there is a communication between us and Allah. But we don't want there to be like criminals in front of the judge in a court. We want to be there like someone who has done something good and now they want to thank him and praise him and give him a award. وَأَخْرَجْ حُبَّ الدُّنْيَا مِنْ قُلُوبِنَا. whatever we have requested so far cannot happen if there is excessive love for dunya in our heart. This is a troublemaker. This is an invader. We have to get rid of this hubbud dunya so that hubb for Allah can come in. أخرج حب الدنيا من قلوبنا. Please remove, dislodge the love of this material world from our spirits. We all know that hubb dunya doesn't mean love for nature, love for our planet Earth, because sometimes we say this is dunya. No, hubb dunya, as you all are familiar with this concept, means to be attached to temporary life, to be attached to physical, material life, to have excessive love for material life. This is the problem. And this is, as we have in hadith, رأس كل خطيئة. حب الدنيا رأس كل خطيئة. It's the foundation, it's the root for all the mistakes. So, oh Allah, please remove this excessive love for dunya from our hearts. كما فعلت بالصالحين من صفتك. This is not something which has no precedence. You have already done this with the righteous servants of you, those who have been chosen because of the good qualities that they have by you. So please give us this opportunity to be treated like them. وَالْأَبْرَارِ مِنْ خَاصَّتِكَ. The pious people, again, who are singled out, who are chosen, who are selected by you. So I don't want just to be a little or an average person in this spiritual journey. I want to be with the best people that you have. Not because I am good, I am qualified. No, because you are so kind and so generous that if someone really wants something, you give him. If someone really wants something. I want to tell you that I really want this. I really want to be with your selected people. I want to be with the prophets, with the imams, with the holy people, with the great ulama. In dunya, I want to be with them. In akhirah, for sure, I want to be with them. Even if for some reason it's not possible to be with those people in dunya. It's not possible for us to be with Imam Zaman right now. We cannot see our Imam. Of course, he's with us, but we cannot see him. It's not possible to be with Rasulullah in this world. It's not possible to be with Lady Fatima, Salamullah alayha, this world. Okay, with all the pain and all the difficulties, I try to remain patient. But I don't want to be in Akhirah away from them. That is not possible. And I want to make this very clear, that in Akhirah we have to be with them. It's not a matter of 40 years, 50 years, 60 years being away from them. It's a matter of eternal life. How can I be away from them eternally? It's impossible. So we definitely want to be with the good people in dunya and akhirah, but very especially in akhirah. If in dunya I can be with good people, but not the best, because the best are not accessible to me, still I have access to good people. I want to be with them. But in akhirah, I want to be with all the best people. So this is the request, which is the final request, to be with the abrar, with the good people, with the pious people. And these are the people that Allah has bestowed His blessings upon them. This is the people that we ask in every prayer to be able to be their companions on our journey on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Then we say, برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Everything that I ask is through your rahmah, O the one who is the most merciful of the merciful, وَيَا أَكْرَمَ الْأَكْرَمِينَ, who is the most generous of the most generous, or the most honorable of the most honorable. I hope that inshallah whatever we have said in these munajats on the tongue of Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam would be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would give us everything that Imam Zain al-Abidin has asked for in these munajat inshallah. Okay, now let us have our questions. Question 1, Salam Sheikh, thanks for all your help. Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah. That's my pleasure. If a non-Muslim who is close to you, like your brother, says Salamun Alaikum, can we reply wa Alaikum Assalam, or can we say to him Salam Alaikum to him? Yes, you can say Salamun Alaikum. If some people say Salam in a bad way, like some people in the time of Rasulullah, instead of saying Salam, they used to say Sam Alaikum, which means death to you. Then Rasulullah was saying Alaikum, not saying completely Salamun Alaikum, because they offered death. So that's different issue. But with the normal people, we can pray for them to have peace. We can offer salam, and that's not a problem. Question 2. Dear Sheikh, Salamun Alaikum. Alaikum Assalam wa Rahmatullah. I am unemployed for last 5 years and tried my best to search the job according to my qualifications for job hunting. I traveled from Pakistan to Dubai but failed to get job earlier. I was not performing my wajibat, especially salat. Now I am regularly offering my prayers by the grace of Allah. Please guide me or recommend me any wazaif or dua for sustenance. Also recommend me wazifa or dua for spiritual strength. Yeah. Inshallah, if you look for a good job, which is an honorable job, a job that doesn't need you to go through lots of humiliation, lots of contact with bad people, inshallah, an honorable job. If you look for it and you qualify for yourself for it, and you pray, especially if your parents pray for you, if you pay sadaqah, inshallah this will happen. I very much recommend these beautiful words of Allah in the beginning of Surah Talaq. من يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه إن الله بالغ أمره قد جعل الله لكل شيء قدرا. So if you can read these verses very often, or even if you can ask someone to write it for you on your ring, it would be inshallah solving your problem. But the prayer of your parents is also very important. Question 3, and this is also good for your spiritual strengths, and try to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as possible. Try to invocate the names of Allah with attention, like La ilaha illallah or salawat. These are very powerful, but if it is done in the state of attention. Question 3, Salam alaikum salam. I like the analogy of planting the seed of love of Allah as a tree to grow from within. Can you explain why many religious people who consider themselves as good people but end up doing bad things in the name of Allah? Yeah, those people that maybe also we are included, inshallah you are not, but I am worried about myself, that they have religiosity, but this religiosity is not deeply rooted. This religiosity, as you said, is not planted and grown. It's like a kafir mentality, but just it looks like a Muslim. This is not good. I am like an atheist meaning I am forgetful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but then I only repeat the names of Allah, I pray, but my heart is forgetful of Allah. This is not working. If love for Allah is in your heart, then you should become merciful. You should become like your beloved. You should be very gentle, very soft, very attractive to people. How can you harm people? How can you annoy people? Yes, there are troublemakers that they don't like good people. That's their problem. But as far as you are concerned, you try to be kind to everyone. You try to be helpful to everyone. If love for Allah is really there, this is happening automatically. So we have to be very careful not to do things without love, not to do things just as a routine, as an obligation. We should do them out of love. Question 4. Can you explain more how you can entrust your affairs to Allah, both Allah's role and our role? Yes. You should do your best. So, for example, you want to marry, you want to start a business. I don't know, you want to do some community work. So, it doesn't mean that you do nothing or you do things in the way which is not proper. No, you do things in a very professional, efficient way. You think, you consult, you take advice, you plan, you spend time, but you know that everything that you do and you know is very limited. There are many, many things that you cannot know in advance. Even there are many things that you can know in advance, but your time is limited. You cannot, study for many years before taking any decision. So we do our best, something that, according to common sense of believers, would be taken as sufficient. But we always entrust our affairs to Allah. We say, "Oh Allah, please help me. I have been able to come to this point, but I cannot go all the way to the destination. I need your help. I need your advice." Like going to my teacher or my alim and say, I have been reading, studying, thinking. I have come up to this stage, but I need your guidance. Please first check if I have done something wrong, correct me, and also show me how to go forward. So we cannot suspend our functioning and say we entrust it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we delegate it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, we have to be very active, but in a very efficient way. And at the same time, we have to request Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to come into our lives. I should invite Allah to come to my business, to my study, to my family life, to my community life, and say, "Please, you guide me through." This is a beautiful friendship or even partnership that you can make with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would invite you to help him. It's very beautiful. Allah says in the Quran, "In tansurullah yansurkum." Allah says also, "Now I invite you to help me with my affairs." Allah wants to guide people. Allah wants to solve the problems of people who suffer. Allah doesn't want people to remain in poverty, in illiteracy, in fear, in terror. So you can also be partner of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not because He needs you. No, because He wants to give you honor of being part of a prestigious job, a godly job, that Allah gives you the opportunity to be involved, to be His helper. You know how much we have to thank Allah for giving us this opportunity to be His helper, in tansurullah yansurkum, to be among the greatest people, to continue the job of the prophets and imams. So there's a beautiful partnership that we can have with Allah, starting from our lives and then extending to the whole human global life. May Allah inshallah enable us to experience that. Uh, Respected Sheikh, with regards to asking Allah to give us a taste of the sweetness of His pardon and thereafter feeling that spiritual relief and recovery after committing a sin for which you ask forgiveness for, I've experienced both, but I have fell into the same sin. In doing so, I felt like I have failed Allah. Can you please guide me, direct me to how to supplicate and amal that will help prevent this? Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as soon as He sees that we are sincerely sorry and we regret really, honestly, He forgives us. Although He may know that I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow, but today, if I am really sorry, He forgives me, if I'm honestly sorry. But this is very sad, that He forgives me, again I do the same thing. The reason for this problem is that sometimes when we commit a sin, we commit it because there is a pressure, there's an attraction. For example, I am very hungry, and when I'm very hungry, na'udhu billah, I steal a piece of bread from someone. When I eat the bread and my hunger is over, there's no pressure, then I say, Astaghfirullah, I'm not going to do this anymore. But again, tomorrow when I'm hungry, I'm doing the same thing. So, this is not a progress. Because when you are put in the same condition, you have done the same. A real progress, a real tawbah is to reach that level of understanding and commitment and to gain that amount of power that you can control yourself even if you are put in the same condition. So, after eating that stolen bread, I am very sorry. And I'm saying that I'm not going to do this anymore. Not because now I am not hungry. No, because I have understood the ugliness of theft. I prefer to die and not to steal. Even if I am dying and I am really in need of a bite of food, I go and beg for food. I would not take property of people without their permission. Or I take with the intention of giving them back if I'm really going to die, which is emergencies. That's different issue. But when there is no issue of life and death, I'm not going to do this. I have improved my understanding. I've improved my commitment. So what we need to do is to reflect on two things. One is on the ugliness of sins in two ways. Every sin has a specific ugliness. For example, to tell lies is very ugly. To backbite is very ugly. And these uglinesses are different. But also there is a common ugliness in all the sins, which is terrible. And that is to disobey our beloved. The one who has done all the good things for us. And the one who doesn't want anything from us except our own goodness. than to commit sin against him, against his will, and to appear, na'udhu billah, as a person who questions his authority. This is very painful. This is very ugly. Imagine if there has been a person who has been supporting you for 10 years, 20 years. Everything that you have is from him. Then you disobey him, you question his authority, you say, I don't listen to you. It doesn't matter to me whether you are happy with me or not. This is very ugly. This is not fair. So if we reflect on the ugliness of the sins in common, in general, and the specific ugliness which is there in every specific type of sin, then inshallah we would not commit the sins even if we are put in the same condition. So we have to improve our understanding and our commitment, inshallah, and at the same time, of course, we have to pray to Allah to give us this strength, this support, these munajat al-shakin, for example, those who complain to Allah, is very beautiful, and you can, inshallah, read them. So I think our time is over, and I want to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on behalf of all of us for giving us this opportunity to share these beautiful words of Imam Zain al-Abidin among ourselves, to reflect together on these words, and inshallah to try to implement them in our life. We are very grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all his gifts, and for this particular gift I am very also grateful for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving me brothers and sisters like you, with whom, instead of wasting our time, instead of having idle chats, we can have such a beautiful discussion, such a beautiful questions that you have shared with me. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep me always in company of good people like you, inshallah, in dunya and akhirah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, protect you and your family and the community, inshallah. And I hope that, inshallah, we would be able to continue these webinars. Now, this series has come to an end, and maybe, inshallah, after 1 or 2 weeks, we will start a new series. But before deciding what to do, we want to receive your suggestions, your ideas, your proposals about what would be the most needed and suitable topic for you. So please send your ideas, and inshallah we reflect on them, and we hope to be able to make a good decision, inshallah. Please remember us in your du'as, and I especially also thank Brother Hussein and everyone who has helped us and given us this technical support and this platform for having our webinars. May Allah give His endless support to everyone who is helping mu'mineen to be moving forward in gaining more knowledge of Allah, more love of Allah, inshallah. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillah rabbil alameen.